Good morning, dear students. This is your teacher Neelam Elawat, and we will start chapter number 8. That is, how do organisms reproduce? Okay, dear students. Now, anybody of you can tell me what is reproduction? How do you define reproduction? Anybody? What is a reproduction? What does this word means? Anybody? Yes, right. So reproduction, dear students, basically means to produce more of their own kind, to produce individuals of their own type. Like you see, in case of human beings, in case of human beings, they produce their children. Isn't it? They produce their children. Cat produces kittens. Dog produces their pups that we call as puppies. So every organism, it produces organism of its own type. So that is referred to as reproduction. So this process is referred to as reproduction. Re means again, production means to make. That is to make, to produce the organisms of the same type. जिस तरीके के हम हैं, बिल्कुल उसी तरीके के ही individuals और पैदा करना is referred to as your reproduction. Okay, everyone? I hope no doubt here. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So why do you think the organisms reproduce? Is it a life process? First of all, tell me answer. Is reproduction a life process? Can you name the life processes, everyone? Just name the life processes. See, there are 4 life processes, as we have discussed in chapter 6. First is your nutrition. Second is your respiration. Third is your transportation. And fourth is your excretion. All these processes, they are considered to be the life process in human beings. Life process means that these are the processes without which an organism cannot survive. वो जिंदा नहीं रह सकता है अगर उसकी बॉडी में ये चारों प्रोसेस एग्जिस्ट ना करें. So do you think that reproduction is a life process? No. Reproduction is not necessary to maintain. As you can see here, reproduction is not necessary to maintain the life of an individual. Then why do an organism reproduce? So nutrition आपका एक life process है, respiration आपका एक life process है, excretion is also a life process. But reproduction is not a life process. Then why do you think that an organism reproduces? ऐसा हमें क्यों लगता है कि ऑर्गेनिज्म को रिप्रोड्यूस करना चाहिए? Isn't it a good question? And more important, if you look at an organism, when it has to reproduce, it requires a lot of energy. So a lot of energy an organism has to spend to produce or to reproduce or to produce individuals of its own type. That means he is wasting energy. अगर ये आपका लाइफ प्रोसेस नहीं है तो इसका मतलब हम बहुत ज्यादा एनर्जी को वेस्ट कर रहे हैं ऐसे प्रोसेस में. लेकिन इसके बावजूद आफ्टर ऑल दिस, इवन दैट, एन ऑर्गेनिज्म रिप्रोड्यूसेस. सो व्हाई डज एन ऑर्गेनिज्म रिप्रोड्यूसेस? एनी आइडिया? बिकॉज दे वांट दैट आफ्टर देयर डेथ their family should continue. There is somebody after their death to continue the family. So even if an individual dies, the species should continue. Species will be continued. Okay, this is the one reason. Why does an organism reproduce? And most importantly, dear students, the organism reproduce because if there was only one organism, अगर एक ही organism होता, if there is one organism, if there is only one tiger, it is still doubtful that we all have noticed its existence. अगर एक टाइगर प्रेजेंट होता, एक रैबिट प्रेजेंट होता, तो ये हमारे लिए डाउटफुल केस है कि हमने कभी भी नोटिस किया होता. We notice an organism because it is available in plenty of number. उसका नंबर इतना ज्यादा होता है कि वो बहुत आसानी से हमारे नोटिस में आ जाता है. Isn't it? So organism wants its presence to be noticed. Okay, and for its presence to be noticed, it should be available in large numbers. And secondly, as I told you, that every organism wants his family to continue, the species to continue. So even after his death, the species should continue. Like if we talk about the human beings, हम चाहते हैं कि हमारी family continue रहे. हमारे मरने के बाद भी हमारी family continue रहनी चाहिए. And that is why the human beings reproduce. So this feature, this you can say mindset, it is very common to all the organisms. So although reproduction is not a life process, although it requires a lot of energy, but even then an organism reproduces so that a species can continue even after its death. Okay, everyone? Now question comes, how does an organism make exact copies of themselves? Now ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कि human beings से सिर्फ human beings ही produce होते हैं? Cat only produces the kittens. So what is the mechanism by which this process occurs? The organisms, we all know that we have our DNA. DNA means your deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, this is the full form. DNA is referred to as the genome. ये हमारा genome है. This DNA has a complete information. This DNA is considered as a blueprint for a new organism to reproduce. DNA के अंदर सारी information होती है जिससे नए organism के क्या-क्या features होंगे. What are the characteristics of that organism? That all is stored in the DNA. And there is a master copy. Okay. Now this DNA basically it is present in the form of chromosomes in the nucleus of the cell. Now ये जो DNA है ये organism के nucleus में मौजूद होता है and this DNA it exists in the form of chromosomes. And this DNA has, as I told you, it contains information for inheritance of features. This DNA has complete information. How does the new organism will look like? What kind of hairs it will have? What will be the height? What are the features? What is the skin color, eyes color, the shape of the body? This complete information this DNA is having. That is why your DNA is considered the blueprint. Okay. And the most important, it has all the information which is required for making the proteins. So that is because your DNA has all the information. It has all the important features, information regarding the features, production of proteins, production of mRNAs. That is why it is considered to be the genome of an organism. That is why it is considered to be genome of an organism. Okay. Now, whenever an organism multiplies, whenever it has to reproduce or to produce a new organism, two processes will occur. One is DNA duplication, another is replication. DNA duplication and replication. Duplication means, suppose you have this DNA, a copy of the DNA. So, exactly same copy will be produced. Okay? That is called duplication. Double करना. DNA को double करना. Replication is a process by which DNA will be doubled. So, reproduction होने से पहले हमें DNA की double copy बनानी पड़ती है. Suppose ये हमारा DNA है, so single copy will be present in the organism. ठीक है, एक organism के अंदर DNA की single copy होती है, लेकिन reproduction से पहले हमें इसकी double copy बनानी पड़ेगी. Means we will have two copies of this DNA. So we will produce two copies. Okay, one copy will be present in the parent itself, and this copy will be passed to the new organism. So DNA has to be duplicated. DNA has to be made double, and this doubling of DNA is done with the help of a process which is called as replication. So replication means producing DNA. DNA से DNA बनाना is called replication. So produce DNA from DNA is called replication. So the very first step that takes place is the DNA is duplicated. So DNA, double copy of the DNA is generated. Then these two copies, you can say we have two copies of the DNA. Now this one copy will be present in the parents, and second copy will be passed on to the individuals. And these both DNA copies, they are similar. They are similar but they are not identical. ये दोनों जो DNA की कॉपी हैं ये similar होती हैं लेकिन ये identical नहीं होती. That is why the new organism that is produced, it is similar to the parent. वो parent जैसा होता है. Most of its features resembles to its parents, but it is not identical. But it is not exactly same as like its parents. It is similar, but it is not exactly identical. It is not exactly same as its parents. Okay, everyone? Okay. So now, as I told you, that we are different from our parents. We are not exactly same, but we are different. So that different means that we have variation in our body. Like suppose if this is my parent, okay? If suppose this is one individual and he has two sons. He has two individuals, two children. That is 1 and 2. So if we compare these two children, we obviously find that this particular child has different features in this particular part and he has different features here. So जो different features हैं वो different color से indicated है. तो ये parent है, ये दो बच्चे हैं, इन दोनों बच्चों में जो parent से different चीजें हैं वो different color से indicated हैं. तो आप easily देख सकते हैं they have a difference in the head. So that means these two individuals, these two children of this parent, they are different from the parent, and different means they have variation. And this kind of variation, see, when this child will reproduce, it has two children, like A and B. This also has two children, C and D. They're also different from their parents. So slowly and gradually we find this as an organism reproduces, he or she produces its own children, and the children are not identical to the parent. They are only similar to the parent. They are not identical. And because of this, there is a variation. And this variation is very, very important because it helps in the survival of a species. ये एक species को जिंदा रहने में help करती है. Okay? And it also allows, so this is one character. Secondly, it allows individuals to withstand and change the changes that are occurring in environment. So because we are different from our parents, ठीक है, हम अपने parents से different हैं और हमारे बच्चे भी हमसे different होंगे. So that is why our ability are also different. The abilities that we can face the challenges that are present in the environment. We can face the different kind of temperature, pressure, the dust conditions, the environmental conditions. So our ability to face such conditions is different from our parents. Okay? So variation is very, very important. First of all, it helps in the survival of species. And secondly, because we all are different, we have a different ability to adjust to our environment, to face the different challenges which are present in the environment. Okay, everyone? So there are more chances that we will survive in the environment. तो क्योंकि हम अपने पेरेंट्स से डिफरेंट होते हैं तो हमारी अलग एबिलिटी है एनवायरनमेंट को फेस करने की, इसलिए ज्यादा चांसेस हैं कि हम एनवायरनमेंट में ज्यादा सूटेबल हैं, एनवायरनमेंट को ज्यादा अच्छे तरीके से यू कैन से we can survive better in the environment in comparison to our parents. Okay? Now, importance of DNA coping. Now, as I told you, dear students, whenever a cell multiplies, whenever cell has to reproduce, whenever an organism has to multiply, so there is one copy of the DNA, and the DNA has to be doubled. Okay? So, two copies of DNA has to be generated. And this is called DNA coping. This is called DNA duplication. Okay, so DNA coping, as I told you, it means the production of exact copy of the original. तो ये हमारा original DNA, इस original DNA की एक और copy बनाना, एक और photocopy बनाना is DNA coping. Now this process, as I told you, when we are producing another copy of the DNA, we are trying to copy it down, but while we are copying it, there are certain errors which are present. हालांकि हम इसे exact copy बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, लेकिन जब हम ये प्रोसेस एग्जीक्यूट कर रहे हैं तो कुछ न कुछ चेंजेस हो जाती हैं. लाइक सपोज दीज आर द चेंजेस. सो द डीएनए दैट इज हियर इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द डीएनए. हम कोशिश करते हैं कि वो ओरिजिनल डीएनए की फोटोकॉपी हो, लेकिन somewhere, by some means, we know that no process can be 100% accurate. हम जानते हैं कोई भी process 100% accurate नहीं हो सकता. So because of this, the new DNA that has been produced has certain changes, or you can say so at certain places it is different from the DNA of the parent. And because of this, there is some variation. So every time there will be a variation, and this variation will lead to the stability of the population and formation of new species. तो हर बार जो ये DNA coping जब भी होगी, तो DNA पहले वाले DNA से हल्का सा different होगा, थोड़ा सा different बनेगा, ठीक है? And because of this difference, there will be variation, and because of this variation, you can say this will lead to the stability of the population or to the formation of new species. So variation is very important, dear students. Now we come to the modes of reproduction. What are the ways, what are the various processes by which an organism can reproduce? So there are two ways. Okay, there are two modes of reproduction. One is asexual reproduction, another is sexual reproduction. So दो तरीके होते हैं nature में. There are two pathways by which an organism can reproduce. One is asexual, another is sexual method of reproduction. So let's deal with first asexual method. What is asexual method of reproduction? As the name suggests, dear student, asexual means absence of sexes. So there is no, you can say, no male and female here. Only one parent is required. So in this process, first of all, only one parent is required. So asexual reproduction में सिर्फ एक parent होता है. Okay, one parent is required, and that parent is neither mother nor the father. So हम इसे ऐसे categorize नहीं कर सकते whether it is the father or the mother. So there is absence of sexes. So asexual reproduction means one parent is required. Second, no gametes are formed. कोई gamete formation भी नहीं होगी. Like there will be no male gamete, there will be no female gamete. So कोई gamete formation नहीं होगी इस process में. And thirdly, there will be no fusion of gametes. So fusion of gametes भी नहीं होगा. Okay, so in asexual reproduction, only one parent is required. Secondly, एक ही parent होता है. Secondly, there is only no gamete formation will occur. And thirdly, there is no fusion of gametes. कोई gametes का fusion भी नहीं होगा. So तीन main characteristics हैं इस reproduction की. Right? Now let's define it. So it is a process of formation of new organism from a specialized or an unspecialized part in a single parent without fertilization. So as I told you, one parent is required. There is no formation of gametes and there is no fusion of gametes. The fusion of gametes is also called as fertilization. Okay? The fusion of gametes is also called as fertilization. Right? The fusion of gametes is also called as fertilization. Clear, everyone? Okay. So asexual process can have a different means, can have a different process by which this process can occur. One is a fission, by fragmentation, regeneration, budding, vegetative propagation and spore formation. तो आपका asexual reproduction जो है वो different processes से means every organism has a slightly different process, and we can have different we can divide this asexual reproduction into 6 new types, which is called fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, vegetative propagation and the spore formation. And we will be dealing it with one by one. Okay? हम एक एक करके इनकी बात करेंगे. Right? Now let's continue with the sexual you can say sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction, dear students, here two parents are there. There are two parents which are present. Okay, so it requires two parents. One will be male and another will be female. ठीक है, यहाँ पर दो parents होते हैं, एक male, एक female. Now male will produce the male gamete, right? In case of sexual reproduction, there are two parents. One is male, another is female. Male will produce the male gamete, and female will produce the female gamete. Okay? Female will produce the female gamete, right, everyone? Okay. Now, since there are two parents in case of sexual reproduction, there are two parents. Okay. Then there is male will produce the male gamete, female will produce a female gamete. So this means there is a production of gametes. तो यहाँ पर production of gametes होगा, right? And third, you will have fusion of gametes also. So fusion of gametes भी होगा. And fusion of gametes we call it as fertilization. So it is a mode of reproduction, it is mode of multiplication in which the new, or you say young one or the child is born due to the process of gamete formation. So हमारे पास यहाँ पर दो individuals हैं, दो you can say हैं, let's suppose these are the two individuals, one will act as a male and female. So दोनों के अंदर gametes की formation होगी, fusion होगा gametes का, and a new child will be born. So in this process, two parents are required. One is male, another is female. Then there is production of gametes, and then there is fusion of gametes. And after the fusion of gametes only, the new child will be born, or a new individual will be born. Okay, everyone? Now let's compare these two processes. Let's compare the sexual and asexual process. So in asexual process, there is only one organism. In sexual process, there is two organisms. Mostly there are two organisms. It involves one also if male and female part. Okay, if there is one organism, the one organism will have both the parts, male and the female parts in the same body. That is why we have written one. So it involves, mostly it has one individual, mostly it has two individuals. Here there is no production of gametes, so gametes will not be formed. Here there is a production of male and female gametes. So no fusion of gametes, it involves fusion of gametes. So now in this particular, this asexual reproduction occurs by process of mitotic divisions. While asexual reproduction, there is meiotic process will occur. Here, the child which is born is exactly similar to the parent. तो हम clone बोल सकते हैं यहाँ पे. यहाँ जो नया individual पैदा होगा वो बिल्कुल अपने parent का identical होगा, photocopy होगा. But here, the child which is born has some characters of the one of his father and some characters of his mother. तो उसके पास blending of characters होगा, कुछ characters mother से मिलेंगे, कुछ characters father से मिलेंगे, but he will not be identical to any of the parents. So here the variation is very, very less. Okay, variation जो है, in case of asexual reproduction, it is very, very less. Only means एक ही तरीका है variation produce करने का, that is mutation. But here there are more chances of genetic variation. यहाँ पर genetic variation के बहुत ज़्यादा chances हैं. Asexual process में natural selection का कोई खास असर नहीं पड़ेगा, because all the individuals they are same. All of them they are identical to each other. So whatever effect one will have, all will have the same effect. Here, because of sexual reproduction, because all individuals they are different from each other, so natural selection will operate in the species. Mainly this occurs by budding, fragmentation, sporulation. Now in this case it occurs due to pollination and fertilization. So in comparison, if we are comparing the asexual reproduction with sexual reproduction, we can easily understand that sexual reproduction is far, far better. हमारा जो sexual reproduction है वो बहुत ज़्यादा better है asexual reproduction से. एक most important difference जो दोनों के अंदर है, asexual reproduction it occurs in simple organisms, while sexual reproduction occurs in complex organisms, well-developed organisms. And it is sexual reproduction is better, is considered to be better over the asexual reproduction. Okay, everyone? I hope there is no doubt. So coming to your homework for today. First of all, you will make notes of this topic and then you will read the page numbers 127 to 128. And if there is any doubt, anything that you have, you feel that we need to discuss, you can contact me personally. Okay, everyone? So that's all for today. Bye, everyone.